Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Truth Podcast. My guest today is Michael Stover, and he is a husband to one, father of five, and proud grandfather. Since 2006, he has written, edited, and contributed to numerous Bible study materials, college subject matter, blogs, website, fiction, poetry, and nonfiction works. Michael holds a degree from Union University and Mid-America Baptist Theological Seminary, both in his home state of Tennessee. In addition to freelance writing and editing, Michael enjoys reading, fishing, cooking, and lots of family time. You can order his books, read more of his writing, or book his writing or editing services at www.michaelstover.com, and that link will be in the description on all of our outlets. So I just want to welcome you to the show, Michael.
Thanks, Jim. It's great to be here with you.
It's good to have you here, but been looking forward to it. I really have, because you've been so excited about it. So that gets me all pumped up,
I have. Thanks. It's a great opportunity.
I appreciate you being here. The going to make an announcement first. I don't usually do this, but we are now on YouTube, on Spotify, Google Play, and iTunes. So you can catch us there as well. So this show will be on multiple outlets and not just one. That's kind of cool. My first question for you, Michael, is what lit the fire for you, or what happened for you to become an entrepreneur? What was that journey?
Well, it's been kind of a long, stuttered journey. I've always enjoyed writing. I wanted to be a writer when I was young. One of my favorite television programs, one of the few we were able to watch at my house, was the Waltons. And John Boy Walton wanted to be a writer, and so did I. And in the early days, really before the internet, becoming a writer meant writing novels, getting published. And that just seemed to be a huge task. And my early career was in ministry. And I wrote a lot of material that we used in churches and in training conferences in local churches around me. And then from that was able to meet some people and begin doing some contract writing for a Christian publishing house. Through those years, the internet, exploded on us, and all the opportunities there really began to expand. And when I left full-time career in ministry in 2013, I had to have something to do to earn a living. We have 5 children. At that time, all of them were still at home. And so Dad was the primary breadwinner. I had to be able to do something. And so we moved to the opposite end of the state where we live now in East Tennessee. I started working in education, helping kids that struggle with math, oddly enough, instead of writing. Because that's what the opening was. But on the side, I started freelance writing. It started out on some of the freelance websites like Upwork. People call them content mills. And just taking whatever writing or editing jobs that I could find. And that went slow because there's so many people competing, and there's so many people on there willing to write for nothing.
Yep.
The real turning point came when I started joining some online writing groups. In particular, I joined a group on Facebook, and I met one of your previous guests, Kathy Kruger, in that group. And
cool.
There was an opportunity just to put up a post to say, tell us who you are and what you do. And so I did that. And some days later, Kathy private messaged me and asked if we could chat, and said that her organization needed an editor, that she was a freelance writer and had grown an organization with several writers, and she had been trying to handle all the editing and was being overwhelmed. And wanted just to be able to hand all that to someone, and wondered if I was interested. And I was thrilled about that, and I told her, yes, I'd love to at least take a shot at it and see if she'd be satisfied with my work. Because that was, a larger step into freelancing. I didn't have any regular clients up until then. It was just that one-off stuff that you can get, through Upwork and Fiverr and some of those platforms. But that relationship worked out. It was really great. And I still do quite a bit of work with Kathy and her organization, writing now as well as editing. But the more I talked with her, the more I began to see this is not just something I can do on the side to help feed the family. This is something, this is a way really that I can reach back to my past and grab my dream of being a writer and make that come true. And so I began working toward that end after about 5 years as a part-time freelancer, really working hard at it. I mean, I part-time freelance for about 8 years, but 5 years really began to get serious about it, working toward a goal of becoming a full-time freelancer. And 2 years ago was able to do that, left my job in education and went full-time and have been doing that ever since.
That's awesome. And Kathy's a really nice person. We've talked a lot before, and she's always willing to help and always wanting to reach out and help people. And she's got a really good heart. She really does. So you're fortunate to work with her. She's a good person. This is really, really cool to have a guest that is working with a guest that I had before. That's never happened before here. So I'm thrilled. I really am.
Yeah, she's been a mentor in more ways than one. We talk writing, of course, and we talk about business, the business end. As I begin to work toward how could this look full time, I would chat a lot with her, and tell me about what your business looks like full time. How did you get there? And talked about her story that she shared on your program, and then she was always there to give great advice about what my next steps could be, should be. And she's very transparent. I've learned a lot of wisdom, from her, were things like, don't do this. I did this and made a mistake. Don't do this. I'm thankful, to borrow wisdom where I can learn from other people's mistakes. I've made enough of my own as it is. But she's been instrumental in that, to where I'm actually patterning, growing my business toward the model that she is currently using now, where she has a stable of writers, an editor, a person that handles scheduling. She even has someone that handles the bookkeeping, and she kind of manages and oversees and handles prospecting. I'm aiming in that direction, kind of trying to pattern my business model after hers.
That's going to be cool for you too, because then you're going to step into more of an administrative thing rather than wearing every single hat in your organization. That can be difficult. That ain't an easy thing when you're first starting out. I know right now I work a lot just because I don't got people to hand stuff off to at this point. So I do pretty much everything, and I've got some friends that help me out and mentor and all that stuff too. So I see you're headed in the right direction, and I like that. That's pretty cool. All right, so I have another question for you. What has been either internal or external things that have held you back during your entrepreneurial journey? Failures, whatever's happened to you.
Well, the thing that held me back for years was just doubt and fear. Initially, before the advent of the internet and the opportunities that it brought for, writing on a digital landscape that could be communicated digitally, digital, self-publishing in those areas, you had to write well enough and stick with it well enough to convince a publisher that you were worth the risk. And, the odds of that even today are still astronomical, much less, earlier. And, I didn't have that many opportunities for writing. I was in a different career zone. And so, I took the writing opportunities that came on the side. It was a little extra money, very irregular, but it was more of an opportunity that, my writing was in front of literally millions of people through the publishing house that would be able to benefit from what I wrote. But when that career kind of imploded and I had to find something right away, I had to turn to whatever it was I had left, whatever skills I had that I could leverage right now. And those were writing skills and editing skills to a certain degree. And so I went and got on the internet and said, how can I do this? How can I leverage this? And I found out there was a huge market. And so, dove in, very green, uneducated, lacking any knowledge about how all that worked, but just knowing I needed some paychecks. I needed some deposits coming in. Seven of us get hungry. We've got bills to pay. And so I had to do whatever it took. And so that pushed me beyond my fears of I'm not good enough. My degree's not in journalism or English or any of that. And so I just had to step out. And I found even now, when I was willing to go full time and said, okay, we can do this. My wife and I sat down and we examined the finances and we looked at all the books and the bottom lines and said, okay, we're at the point where we can replace that, what I was calling my steady income, with the freelancing income. It was still a big step. It was still fear because,
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
wasn't dependent on, the school system to send that check once a month. I had to go out and make it. It was all on me. But in a sense, I wanted that. I always wanted that. I wanted to be my own boss, to have that independence, to have that freedom, and to be able to create my own opportunities. And freelancing opened the doors for me to do that. The next step that there's fear with is taking on a few more contracts that I'm not able to do. Right now, I'm the one guy. I handle all the writing, all my own editing, all my own sharing, posting, prospecting, invoicing, everything. And as you know how that works, Jim, when you're the guy wearing all the hats, it's tough. It makes for long days and long weeks. And I'm making a really good living at it, better than I have. I'm not where I want to be yet, mainly because I do want to scale it larger, where I can step out and still do some writing with some things that I'm interested in and want to do, but be more of the team leader with a great team. And so now that next step is, picking out some folks who I think would be great team members that I can bring on kind of slowly, and scaling into that with taking on more clients.
That sounds wonderful, actually. It's such a transition, though, because, you leave the safe, secure job. Safe, secure should be in quotes, too. But you leave that atmosphere because it's like, this is all on you. I mean, there is no paycheck unless you sell or you write enough or you do enough work. And as I know, it's long nights. It's a lot of work. And especially when you're writing for the content mills, that's hard because you have to keep up. You have to write a lot to get paid anything doing that, and basically competing for stuff and for, the opportunity to write SEO content or copywriting or, say blogs, things like that. And it's difficult. It's not easy because they didn't want to pay so much. So now transitioning into where you are now and making a really good living at it now, like, hey, wait, I have too much work. That's really good though. If you look at it at that point of view, from that point of view, it's a really good thing, not a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? It's scary, but
yes.
it's a great thing.
Yes, I'm at that point now. One conversation that Kathy Kruger and I had about this very topic was called the tipping point.
Yes.
And I'm at that tipping point where, one or two more steady contracts, and I'm going to be forced to take on someone who can help me with the writing. I can't do anymore. And that's my bread and butter. I do very little on the content mills now. I've been able to form some relationships with marketing agencies. And so, we have standing contracts every month. They need X amount of blogs. They throw in some web pages on top of that every now and then. So I'm writing extra for them as well as what I'm expecting to get from them. And those are good, stable companies. They do large volumes of business, and which, a few of those have still kind of drifted off for one reason or another. The ruling in California had kind of had lost me a client, out there because of how they begin defining freelancers. And so, that was a great relationship that all of a sudden was severed. They didn't want it. I didn't want it. But, a ruling by the California legislature kind of redefined some things legally about how they look at contractors and freelancers. And so legally, they were not able to keep me on, as a freelancer. They had to take on in-house writers. And so things like that can pop up. So you're never done contracting. You never get to the point where you say, okay, I've got everybody I need and I can stop. because you never know, okay, when am I going to lose someone? And one of the things about that tipping point is it's hard because you're working hard, you're covered up, and it's that fear of thing again where, okay, I've got to let some of this go, and I'm scared of that. I'm scared of turning it loose, and I'm also scared of turning work away. When someone comes and says, "Hey, can you add this too?" My automatic go-to answer is, "Sure, I can handle that." Just because if I turn it down and they go somewhere else, you have that fear too. Mm-hmm. And so there's a confidence factor in there that is feeding the drive to, okay, be more selective and choose better clients like these marketing agencies, and turn down some of the more content mill type folks who, like you say, they're not willing really to pay what it's worth for good, writing. And there are clients out there that are willing to pay for good writing. They recognize it when they see it. They recognize good customer service and reliability. And when you keep deadlines, which is something freelance writers seem to have a hard time doing for some reason, they're impressed with that, and they keep coming back, and they want to work with you all the time. And so I'm at that tipping point. I need one or two more of those, and I'm going to be asking you to get on the show again to advertise for some writers. I'm going to need some new team members.
Sounds good to me. I wanted to ask you a question about that California law now, because I wasn't aware of that, number one. And number two, I don't really understand it, and I don't know if the listeners do.
I'm not sure I understand a lot of it either.
Okay.
I've had conversations with a couple of marketing agencies in California, one rather large company, one medium-sized company, and one kind of a smaller company that was mainly freelancers at the time. And I did a considerable amount of work for them, considerable for me, until that ruling. And it happened last year in the California legislature, and it specifies or redefines the definition of an employee versus a contractor.
And so a freelancer would be a contractor.
Yeah, and basically the way a freelancer is put into that contractor role, we're disqualified in some way from working as a freelancer, producing material, products, content, whatever, that the California-based business then turns around and makes profit from reselling. Which, wow. If you're a blog writer, which I am, I'm writing blogs for her. Well, she's reselling that. She's turning around and giving that to a client and earning a profit off of it as well. And so, from what I understand, the attorneys for that company said, "Look, you can't use these people anymore, or they can really come after you and legally."
That sounds like a dumb companies,
role. Yeah, it did. The larger companies don't seem to be worried about it. When I talk with, because I do considerable amount of business with a large company in California, and I said, "Hey, is this about to end? If it does, I need to go out and find a job." And when I talked to a representative from their company that went to legal and talked to their legal department, they said no, because nobody really can explain this law, even the people that passed it. And I'm even hearing this year from some clients in California that they're really not sure even how to enforce it. So there's not really much of a danger of them coming after you if you're employing freelancers outside of California, if you're a California-based business. And like I said, I'm not an expert. I can't explain it. That might be a good show for you later.
It sounds like they can't explain it either.
But yeah, they're having problems figuring it out, and they live in California, work there. But I do know that, it cost me a great client, great people to work with, a good amount of money that I had to make up pretty fast, then super people. And I hate it for them because they had to go then and at great expense change their whole business model. They went from hiring freelancers like me to, hiring in-office people, which means providing office space, providing equipment, providing benefits. That's a lot more expensive than hiring a freelancer.
Yeah, it sounds like a dumb law, to be honest. I don't really understand why, what it's preventing. I don't. Yeah, I guess I just don't understand it well enough to comment, but it sounds stupid.
I agree.
So you mentioned that you're right now you're still freelancing, but you're kind of turning into more. You're going to try to turn it over to a little bit more people and kind of create a team, and that's the goal. So, what services do you offer right now?
Right now, about 75% of what I do is writing, is
Hmm.
producing web page content, blog content for content marketing agencies. The other 25% is editing. For example, for Kathy Kruger's organization, I do writing when she gets in a bind and needs me to write, but mainly I edit just about everything that comes through the organization. I think she has another editor now because of the size of the organization, and I think she engages in that some too. But I know I edit a significant amount of material for her company, and all of that is content marketing. It's web pages, it's blog posts that are going to larger internet marketing companies. I also offer ghostwriting services. I'm working on a project with a client right now. They come to me with a book in various stages
Hmm.
and say, "Help me." And I've done dozens of these over the past 10 years. And so I've seen them in every stage where they give me a topic and they say, "Research this, make me look good, and I'll pay
Hmm.
you well, but my name's going on it." So nobody
Right.
knows I wrote the book, and
Right.
they're using that. That's the new calling card. Instead of I have a business card now, oh, I have a book. I'm an expert. I know what I'm talking about. But they didn't
Hmm.
write it. Someone like me did, and they put their name on it. The client I'm working with now had a great body of material. He's been in this industry that we're writing about for over 25 years, and he's very successful at it. He knows what he's talking about, but he's not a writer. And so
Hmm.
he needs someone to put that in a form that is engaging, even though it's a nonfiction book, that flows well, that will keep the reader engaged all the way through, and that they'll find beneficial.
And that
And
it looks like
so,
some sort of English or something.
right, yes, yeah. And
I
so
know how that goes. I really
that's where
do.
I come in. And then, of course, when it's finished, his name's on the book. My name's nowhere to be found.
That's
That's what
okay.
ghostwriting is.
Yeah.
But it can be profitable. It can be a
Yep.
profitable enterprise. But doing that on top of my main content production, which is the bare bones of the work, the meat, I guess I should say, the work that I do that pays the bills. Um, those projects take longer. And I tell people I'm working that in,
Yep.
to ghostwrite your book in
Yep.
among this. But I had a client contact me tonight that I work with right before you and I started recording and said, "Hey, Mike, I've got another book writing client. They've got the material, but they need somebody to help them get it organized. Are you game?"
Wow. You're
And
like,
so,
sure.
yeah,
I've
can
got all
you
the
let
time
me
in the
finish
world.
this one first? We're going to meet and talk and kind
Yeah.
of see where that goes.
Yeah.
But that'll be okay. But my main services are copywriting for online businesses, websites, and blogs, and then ghostwriting. And then I will edit your material. If some companies prefer to write their own material for their own blogs and websites, which is a mistake. Even if they write coherently, writing for the web is different. It's not like writing for the newspaper or for magazine articles.
Like
If you want your
SEO.
content found, if you want it ranked highly so that
Yep.
people can find your business,
Yep.
you need a copywriter at
Yep.
least to go through and smooth what you've written. And I
Yep.
have a few clients that will send me their material and have me go through it with an SEO comb and
Hmm.
really make it, discoverable by Google and search engines. And they're willing to pay me pretty well to do that too.
That's good.
We have a regular contract where I manage that for them as well. And then if you go to my website, also you'll find some downloadable books that'll help you writing. There's one about on-page SEO that's available for download. There's one about creative writing, persuasive writing, writing for sales, which is has a
Wow.
lot to do
It's a
with
little different
copywriting.
than regular writing. I know
It is
that.
it is different. There's a downloadable ebook there, and then I published a book some years ago called How to Write Well, and it's available on Amazon in print, digital, and audiobook version. And it's just here's how anyone can tighten their writing up within 30 minutes, if you read the first half of this book in 30 minutes, your writing's going to be better. You're going to
Wow.
sound and look more intelligent when you send emails at work. When you write a letter to the editor, or any communications that's written and sent digitally, you're going to look more intelligent just because you can write intelligently, within 30 minutes. And then the second half of the
really
book is
good.
all reference material. And so just hang on to it, because when you get deeper into writing, you can pull it off the shelf and look in the back section, and there's a lot of reference material back there about how to make wording choices and how to make verb and subject agreements, things like that, when you get more deeper into writing, for those who maybe are aspiring writers and really want to sharpen their craft. And so that book's available, through Amazon, but you can find it on a link to it on my website as well.
That's
And
nice.
I'm
I think
writing
also
a book with a friend too. That is a religious book. He is an expert on reclaiming people who are broken, who've been broken either in ministry or through the ministry of the church, that too often get kind of neglected. And he's an expert really on guiding churches to care for these people, to reach out and find them and restore them back to spiritual health. And so he and I are co-authoring that book also a month at a time, a small step at a time. We're trying to get it finished up by next month, because there's an organization waiting to publish it. They're going to be using it for conferences and things. And so I've also got that in the works too, but that will actually have my name on it. He and I are co-authoring that book. And sometime by early summer, maybe, it should be available on the website too. So if you're interested in something like that, bookmark the site and come back and keep looking.
I'll tell you this. I was going to say this before. Well, first thing, you're not busy at all, but just kidding. But the second thing I was going to say is, even for entrepreneurs, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs watch the show and are in our group and stuff like that, but writing is something that is very key. Even when you do video, even when you want to present something in a video format, you still have to sound intelligent. So the book on how not to be stupid, I'm just kidding. I think is invaluable, because I think that there's a lot of people that just think, well, I'll just get on and say whatever, you know what I'm saying? But
right.
To try to market what you do and try to make yourself sound, like what you're talking about. Even if you do know what you're talking about, but you just can't form the words right, this is the perfect book for you. And I would suggest picking it up as soon as you can, so we can, you can get your copyright and honed in, that you can start to get the emails back and forth to people that you really want to connect with and get them honed in, and then I think that I really think that's a great idea.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate that. I know from clients that have talked to me, or other people that I've run into that have bought the book, very few of them have been writers looking to hone their craft. And that audience wasn't my target audience when I wrote the book. I wrote the book kind of for a wider audience of just anyone who wants to look and sound intelligent in their communications, because that matters. You get one chance to make a first impression. And when you send an email with 6 misspelled words and, spotty punctuation, and, that impression is made. It doesn't matter how many degrees are after your name in your email signature. That email makes you look ignorant, unlearned, unintelligent. And so, this is just a way to help you tighten that up. Very practical stuff. Like I said, in 30 minutes, your writing's going to be better just by reading the first half of the book. And it's not a thick book. It's like 80 pages. But, the first 40 or 50 pages are going to turn your writing around in very practical ways, very fast, so that you can put it to work with whatever you do to help your writing. And I've had middle school students and teachers, English teachers, use it. I have a teacher friend who has ordered copies to pass out to her class as a resource for several years. And like I said, I've had businessmen and other people use it just because they're very intelligent people. Writing's not their strong point. They just needed some help with a quick tool to help them with writing. And so it's in print, it's in digital. It's also an audio book where you can just listen to it while you're gardening or, painting or whatever. I know that's really popular now. But, within the first half of the book, you can basically cut it off and go fix your writing.
That is amazing. That's really good. I was going to ask you a couple of things because of the how do you negotiate with companies to get these contracts? How does that work? Because our audience may not know that.
Well, a lot of the relationships that I have with these clients have come from relationships with other clients.
Okay.
For instance, I met Kathy, as I shared in a Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
Another client that I have now that I'm working with was a client that she previously had. She was looking to do more website writing. And so what she wrote for them, she was looking to move out of. And so I've been doing enough work with her over time that she said, hey, I want to recommend someone to you that'll do a good job, but I know Michael will. And so she introduced us. Well, now that's a regular client. That client's done the same thing. They've run up on, a buddy in the same business or something. And the guy mentioned to them, he needed a writer. And he said, hey, I've been able to connect with this, freelance writer that's doing a great job for me. He turns in his work on time. I don't have to keep sending stuff back for revisions. Let me introduce you. And it's just kind of snowballed from there. With all the advertising that I've done for my business, and I still do that. I still do it on social media. Every chance I get, I do some paid ads now and then, just, advertising copywriting services, specials, all that kind of stuff. Out of all of that, I've had one client that I've gotten from all that advertising that is still with me. One. And I've got about 27 that I do work for every month, 27 clients. One of those came from advertising. All the rest came from relationships, connections that I was able to make through other clients. Yeah, and that's just come from doing a good job for them.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. I said that's come from consistency, good work, and being on time. And the thing is because you have a good reputation, other people will recommend you, because not many people are going to stick their neck out for somebody that isn't on time, doesn't do a good job, those type of things. So for you to get that many referrals, that shows the work that you do.
Yeah. Well, and I've had people, clients that will give me a bonus because I turn in work 2 or 3 days early. And I'm like, are you kidding? Is that not the norm? And I found out quickly in this business, no. Freelance writers are notorious for being late, turning it in at the last minute, if not, a day or two later. Like they think freelancing is all about free and not about the other part, which is the work. And so, another thing, kudos to Kathy Kruger that she told me early on. I was turning in work on time, just regular for her. And she said, I'll never forget. She said, Michael, if you'll keep that up, that'll bring you more business than anything. If you can have the reputation of a writer who does good work and that they can depend on. She said, even if you don't do great work, if you do good work and they can depend on you, they'll keep coming back. And they do.
Yes, they do. I was going to ask you if you would just tell us a little bit of what's on your heart, what you want to tell the audience at this point in the show.
Developing this dream of having my own business and being a writer for a living. I still get up every day excited. And I can't say that I did that for most of my life. I'm almost 50 years old. Been a freelance writer full-time for 2 years now. For 2 years, I get out of the bed every morning excited about what I get to do. Not what I have to do, what I get to do. And I might be writing for the same clients in the same industries and similar topics, but every bit of it is different. And every bit of it presents some kind of a new challenge. And it's mine. It's my business. I have the opportunity to get up and do what I love to do and help people. I'm helping this company be profitable. I'm helping them help clients find what they need so that they can live a better life or become healthier or find the legal services they need or find the tree trimming service they need or find the plumber they need or whatever it is. I'm helping companies be profitable. I'm helping them help people, and I'm doing what I love. and I'm doing it wherever I want to do it. I mainly work from a recliner in my living room. This is kind of my writing corner that I'm in when I really want to be serious. I come upstairs and I get in this comfortable chair. But I can also unplug it and take it to the local coffee shop, Waffle House, bookstore, if I just want to change environments. And right there, this past summer, took my family to Dolphin Island on vacation and still had some work to do. As long as we rented a beach house with Wi-Fi, I did a little work in the morning, spent the afternoon on the beach. I can take my work wherever I want to take it. I can work from anywhere. That makes my time a lot more flexible. I can be more with my family when I need to be. We can travel a little more when we want to. And so, said all that, I'm passionate now about telling people, you know what, you can do this too. If you look on my Medium account, that's one of the many links where you can find stuff that I write. I'm writing more about freelancing and freelance writing than I am just the art and the skill of writing, because I want to help other people that have this dream to be able to take that step, to push through their fear, not to be forced into it like I had to. And maybe, you know, I wouldn't have been able to do it had I not been forced into it. And you know, God knows that. He knows what he's doing. But I want people to be able to look at what I do and say, I can do that. And then let me help them. Here's some steps. Yeah, read this article. You know, shoot me an email, shoot me a text, you know, message me on Facebook Messenger and ask me a question. And let me help you realize the living and the life that I'm living now. And it's not about money. You know, I'm not making six figures in a year. I'm not close to that. But I'm living a comfortable life. We had a nice vacation last summer in a beach house right on the beach at Dolphin Island. We bought tickets and went to an Alabama football game. We're big Alabama Crimson Tide fans, Roll Tide. We're driving a brand new car, you know, to haul around my grandson and my family. You know, I still have two children at home. We're able to homeschool them and really do some neat things here in our home because of freelancing. And so I'm living a life that I enjoy. I'm living a life that is successful by my definition of success. And, you know, Jim, I'm not that smart. I don't have that many degrees. And I've had life experiences, I think, that have taught me more than anything. But I don't consider myself any more intelligent than most other people I meet. It's just that I've been able to take this opportunity to meet some great mentors that have helped me, like Kathy. And now I want to tell other people, you can do this too. And I can help you do it. You can realize this same manner of living and enjoying life and enjoying what you do that I'm enjoying. And I can help you do that.
And I know you can. I do. It's been a great show. I really appreciate you being here. And I just want everybody out there to, if you're thinking about it, if you're thinking about being a freelance writer or attempting something new or always wanted to be a writer, get in touch with Michael, get in touch with him, and then you can, and then I'm sure that he can lead you in the right direction, because he seems to have a really good heart for people and a really good heart for your success. So I totally encourage you. And also, if you could please do the subscribe thing and then click the little bell thingy and stuff like that for me, I'd really appreciate it. And everybody, you have a wonderful day.